Holy happy hour, Batman. Father Ben. I'm an Episcopal priest, gamer, streamer, podcast host, and co-founder of the All Ports Open Network. On this show, I'm joined by heroes of the gaming and geek world to talk about life, faith, spirituality, and whatever else comes up. Tonight, we have a very special Holy Happy Hour episode with two awesome guests I'm very excited about. All My Fantasy Children is coming here to the happy hour. So we're going to chat tonight with Jeff Stormer and with Aaron Catano-Saez about their show, All My Fantasy Children. And maybe, hopefully, we'll do some fun world building too. So don't go anywhere because this is going to be an amazing episode. Just a few words I wanted to say about our guests before we get started. Jeff Stormer is the host of the very good Party of One podcast, where the gaming table is always set for two. And he's also the designer of some very cool games, including Anyone Can Wear the Mask, which is a tabletop RPG about a superhero, supervillain, and the city they share. Throughout play, you record the adventures of a great hero as they defend their city, stand up to those in power, and eventually confront a terrible nemesis. I also highly recommend listening to Jeff play that game on the Protean City Comics Pride Annual series. The whole series, the whole Pride Annual is freaking awesome. And if you like superhero stories, you should check it out. Listen from beginning to end, totally worth your time. By the way, real quick, if you like superhero RPGs, don't forget to check out the podcast, Delinquent Comics. It's my Masks Actual Play podcast. I happen to be the host as the GM. High action comedy drama, and I think it's very good, and you should listen. But the other host of All My Fantasy Children joining us tonight is Aaron Catano-Saez, who is a cast member on the incredible kid-friendly actual play podcast, Courier's Call, set in the world of Sphere, the world of Campaign Skyjack's fame. Aaron's character happens to be my own kid's favorite character on the show, and you should listen whether you have kids or not because it's super good. Okay, so before we bring them on the show, it is happy hour, and that means cocktail recipes, and I have a cocktail recipe for everyone today. This one is inspired by All My Fantasy Children. I'm calling it AMFC, or Absolutely My Favorite Cocktail. This one was really tough for me to make because I don't actually have just one favorite cocktail, but boom, it's up on the screen. You can check it out real quick. If it's hard to read, I'll be sharing it to social media later. It's basically like a take on it's basically a Mai Tai with some slight alterations, like a good Mai Tai, like a classic Mai Tai. So absolutely my favorite cocktail. The Mai Tai is probably my favorite cocktail. I will share that in social media later. So, okay, without further ado, let's bring on the guests because that's why you're here to watch. So let's do that switch. And Aaron, Jeff, welcome to
Aaron. Aaron, I've been trying to tell you this a million times. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was getting scolded, and that's fine.
Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't getting scolded.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Hi.
So here's what I don't know, and I'm going to see if it's working. I don't know if it is. So this is my first time trying to get the stream chat on the screen. I've never done it before. This is my test run. Not sure if it's working. Hey, if you're watching, type in the chat. Let's see if it pops up.
Well, let me type in the chat.
Cheerio Buffet says hello. Other folks
Hi.
saying hello. Tonamel, hello.
Hello.
Doesn't seem to be working though, unfortunately. Chat does not seem to be popping up on the screen. So sorry, folks. I tried. I really did try. Oh, I heard a bleep. I don't know what that was. Anyway.
Oh, it's because I followed your account while this is happening.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Oh, awesome. Well, anyway, one of these days I'll learn how to Twitch, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk to the two of you about your fabulous podcast, All My Fantasy Children.
Shucks.
And perhaps talk about how you're my kid's favorite cast member on Courier's Call.
You know, I like.
Which I dropped that piece of information on Aaron right before we went live. So
it's a delightful thing to know.
Yeah.
It warms my cold, icy heart.
So my kids do really like that show a lot, and we're not quite through, I think, the first season though, to be honest. But
perfect. That means when the next stuff comes, which is soon, I think we're diving into episode 0. You are going to have some good ins. You're going to have some sweet morsels to dig into.
Definitely excited to catch
family style.
Yeah, exactly. So in a podcast very different from that one, All My Fantasy Children. I guess tell folks what's the if folks are watching and they don't know what All My Fantasy Children is, can you explain a little bit what that show is, like what you do, what it's all about?
Jeff, could you elevate a pitch?
Absolutely. All My Fantasy Children is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by listener prompts. Every week, Aaron and I take a listener-submitted prompt. We spin it into an original fantasy character using some of our favorite tabletop role-playing games, and we populate a shared universe called Fantasy, one story at a time. And it's real good. You can it's part of the One Shot Podcast Network. You can find it at oneshotpodcast.com.
It is real good. I totally agree. In fact, I've been saying lately that I think it's the funniest podcast on the internet, and I'm not just saying that. There have been moments when I have died laughing listening to you guys. But it's not just funny. Like, it's also like there's a lot of not funny in it too. It's very
that's true.
No, there's a lot of stuff. Just a lot of jokes stuff, don't land.
A lot of bombs, a lot of successes, and a lot of
great stuff. A lot of just bombs.
There's a really specific moment that I'm thinking of where like we tried to. Have you ever watched the Hindenburg footage? It's like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like there's some really great jokes, and then you try to make other jokes, and it's really good.
A lot of A+ comedy, a lot where it's just frankly insulting and terrible and a waste of time.
It's a lot of A+ and a lot of F, and really there's not a whole lot in that.
It's a hard balance. We walk a tight rope there with the show of like, some episodes we want to push the envelope of like what comedy is.
Yeah,
it is not one of those comedy podcasts. I can guarantee it is kind of funny just by association, but I do not say like we're a comedy show.
Yeah, I very consciously avoid that. But no, I get exactly what you're saying. Like we build a lot of drama and hope and emotion into the stories, and it takes there are times where we tell stories about a hedgehog or was a hamster.
What is episode?
Bazooka
Joe Pesci is a mouse.
A mouse.
Bazooka Joe Pesci is
a 3-foot mouse.
When Joe Pesci put his brain into a mouse, and they switched bodies, and it became a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle situation, but a mouse named Bazooka Joe Pesci became a really, really sensitive episode. This show sounds bad when we're talking about it now, but I promise it's good.
And then there are stories about like hope and love and making the world a better place, and it rips. It is a show that I'm immensely incredibly proud of, and also just there are some days where I choose violence, and we end up with the Howdy Man.
It's true.
So, can you tell us a little bit about like the origins of the show? How did this thing birth into the world?
Okay. So I bought a microphone when I moved to New York, and Jeff had his podcast Party of One roll in, and I finally had a mic. So I was like, I kind of want to can I be a guest? And I asked Jeff if I could be on it, and we had a great time playing the funnel, Dungeon Crawl Classics. And then I remember getting bit by the bug of how fun it was. So I was like, Jeff, I'm going to pitch a lot of ideas for a podcast at you. Tell me which one you like. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being this, where the original concept was we create a character that listeners are supposed to take and play and games and stuff. And it was very game centered and very character creation system driven. And over time it became much more about like the stories that are told and, the fun. And then obviously it became the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Once we started making stories, we were like, what if they all connected?
Yes.
So my origin story of the podcast is that Aaron had been sending me these ideas, and I thought this one was really good, and we were playing around with it. And it squarely existed in that space of, it existed in that space of you and your best friend are absolutely going to start a band one day. Like, yeah, it was like, there was probably a good, 3 or 4 months where it was just in a space of like, this is going to be a cool idea. We should find time for it one day. Yeah, totally. We'll do that. And then the very specific story that I have is one day, it was a Saturday night, and my wife, Jen, producer of the show, producer of Party of One, rather, Jen Frank, was out at a wrestling show, and I had the house to myself, and I had just finished watching the 2016 Bo Burnham special, Make Happy, the end of the special is this whole thing about like art and making things for people and like questioning like who your audience is, and it becomes this very like existential thing. So I was in a really weird headspace about like making stuff and whether I was making stuff for me or other people and like living in this sort of public space. And then I got ghosted on a recording for 2 hours, and they just never got back to me. Like they just straight up ghosted me. And so like I was in this weird headspace. I was in this space, this like weird existential thought space. And so I finally just messaged Aaron and I was like, "Hey, I want to do this tonight. We're making this podcast tonight." And Aaron was like, "I'm at work, but like, when I get home." So we finally, it was fully 1 a.m. Aaron is back from working a full shift. I am in this weird headspace. It is the middle of summer, much like it is today. We were both sweaty, gross, and like exhausted. And we were just like, let's just do this and see what happens, and we'll figure this out. And thus AMFC was born, and it has a particular energy that came from that first recording.
How I like to describe it is like big nerd sleepover energy. Like when you have a sleepover with your friends and you'd be like, wouldn't it be cool if paladins shot laser beams? But like, how would that work mechanically? Like, you know, and you're tired. Like? Yeah, and you're tired and you're just like saying whatever comes to mind. You're just spitballing and laughing and giggling. That is the show with a little more structure, where it's like anymore we're like, okay, we want to recreate barbarians. We don't like that. But let's take what we like about the mechanics of, you know, a barbarian, someone who's fueled by emotion, someone who gets more power from their emotion. And what can we do with that? And so, like, you know, we talk and we sit and we laugh, but like, it's got a lot more structure and we bring a lot more of ourselves to it. And like, you know, the tropes we like, but it's big sleepover energy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
PSE.
I think like what is wild to me about like the energy of it is like, I don't know. Sometimes you guys are, and I know you've done this for what? Oh, I had the number.
Our 5-year anniversary, I think, is in 7 days next week. I think it's the 16th.
It might be the 16th or the 25th. No, the 25th, I think, is Party of One. I think it is, in fact, next week.
God damn.
Yeah.
Let me see.
There's what, like 168 episodes or something?
So published audio, there are 196, but I'm looking at the Simplecast, and there's 168. I call them like numbered episodes.
Yeah, there's like bonus audio and stuff.
So, you know, that's not that much audio when you really think about it.
Yeah, that's an approachable number.
Yeah, like
it's not 200.
It's not
so
200.
I have it. July 18th, 2016 at 10:33 p.m. I edited the first episode in 1 day.
Yeah, you were just like, I'm putting this out there.
I was so consumed with excitement and like, oh my God, we're making a thing. The thing is happening, that I churned. I didn't know how to edit either. So I was like, Jeff, how do you like clip? Like, how do you cut? It's like you drag and then you click, like delete. So I was on my like laptop just doing that, and I was so possessed by like the spirit of creation that I just burned through episode 0. And that's why it sounds like it does.
Yeah.
There's
an energy to that episode that can only be captured by 2 people that are sweaty at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Like,
correct.
There is like a really like, and honestly, like, I really say that like the show would not be what it is, and candidly, I don't even know if the show would have lived as long had we not had that energy. Because I think the moment that the show becomes the show is when Aaron's like, "What's this character's name?" And being it that I am half I'm half delirious from sleep deprivation, I just throw out his name is Samuel Gore.
We were like, okay, so the tone is, because I tend to take things way too seriously. And so, like, I'm in here like, okay, so it's this pumpkin contest. What are the deep implications? And Jeff's like, his name is Samuel Gord. It's like, that's the tone of the show, where it's like...
And it, like, clicked in, and then, like, we very quickly figured out, like, there's a very particular balance of, like, taking silly things very seriously, like, and into kind of the heart of the show of, like, no idea is too silly not to be seriously thought about and engaged with, and it becomes something beautiful.
There was an episode, like, I don't know when it was. Maybe it was a couple months ago. I don't know. It was an episode where that it started with you two just describing a metaphor of the start of your show, where Jeff was like on the launch pad for a spaceship or something, like in NASA.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I do. That was recent.
Yeah,
and I was in the cockpit. Yeah, I think, or I was in the control room.
Yeah.
Yes, taking it way too seriously.
Just like giving an example, because that extended for like 10 minutes.
It's true, but it's true.
Carry that through for 10.
The dynamic of the show, like, I'm always like, because, you know, the dynamic of the show that's made it for me fun to do is I want to make this shit so deep. And so, like, if some lore nerd is like, I found the Easter egg hidden in it, blah, blah, blah. And Jeff is like, I don't know. Her name is Princess Teacup Petals. And I'm like, okay, so Princess Teacup Petals is a god from another dimension. Like, and so it's this fun back and forth where like Jeff sometimes is like totally fucking in it, super serious. But Jeff kept playing against my tendency to go, okay, so this is the next great anime of our generation. And Jeff is like, it's not, it's about mini golf. And you're like, okay, so it's about mini golf.
It's an anime about mini golf.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, going with this. And so it's a fun, it is the phrase that like Jeff said early on is like, if you lean into it, it kind of like, it works. It reminds me of Adventure Time sometimes. Like we're not that light, but how like Adventure Time has its like really silly world, but they lean into it so hard that it works to a level where you're like, yeah, it's Princess Bubblegum.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, that's a weird name and she's made of like candy. You know, it's because they take it so it's something that's like to branch out, but like in theater, comedies are only usually funny if the actors are taken completely seriously, you know, and we as the audience get to laugh. And I feel like that sometimes is our show where we're both going like, okay, so this pumpkin contest, what are the societal implications of that?
Yeah.
It's funny for you, but we're like, let's tell this GD story.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, 100%. It like I said, I really think the heart of the show is like silly things taken seriously and serious things taken with an air of silliness. I think that there's like a nice balance there of like we can throw out an idea that is completely ridiculous, like an underwater sport called Glum Glub.
Yes.
But take it through and be like, okay, let's talk about like the realities of professional sports and like actually like consider what this looks like in the world.
Yes.
Or we can take an idea that is like very serious and also go like, and also this part of it is still very funny. Like this is a very funny concept in this very serious thing.
Yeah.
So isn't that basically, do you think that that's basically all world building? Because I mean, there's always like a degree of, it's always kind of silly, right? Like we're building a fake world that we can play inside of, like, so there's, but you're taking it you take it very seriously, right? Because like, I don't know, I've had many tabletop RPG campaigns that have been ongoing where like we did a lot of world building from it, and like, yeah, we make really stupid jokes, right? But like we take it very, I mean, it's our thing we made, like,
and it's, I think that's the core of it is that the great thing about like ideas is, I mean, what it teaches me from a creative standpoint is to never be too precious with an idea, that like nothing is so sacred that I can't smash it with a hammer a little bit, and that nothing is so brittle that like nothing is so brittle that smashing it can't make it more beautiful. Like there's that idea that like it teaches it. I think that one of the things that makes the show click is that we are very willing to kill our darlings a little bit and be like,
very much,
and be like this thing, and like, you know, like, and I think Aaron does this, and I do this just as often, where we'll be like, all right, this is this thing, and I've got all these thoughts about it, and then the other person will be like, what if it's this instead? And we're like, all right, no, all of that's gone. All right, let's talk about this instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's absolutely true. Sorry.
No. Go, please, your thoughts.
It's something that I've really, it's like, it's taught me from doing it for like 5 years. It's like the old adage in like improv and stuff. It's like you can have an idea when you jump in, but whatever the other person is doing, if you're listening and reacting to what they're doing, you go, fuck it, my idea's gone. I'm going with what you're doing. And with Jeff and I, it's a fun dynamic where you can be like, I don't want to do that. Or like whatever, it doesn't matter because we're making the thing, and that's what matters. Not like we're never married to ideas. Like if Jeff's like, maybe it's not a legendary sword, maybe it's a town, and you're like, I wanted to talk about legendary swords, but fuck it, I don't really. Oops, sorry.
No, you're good. You can swear on the show. You're fine.
You're like, you know, forget it. I'm ready to. I'm just want to make something that I care about adding to this world, because we do deeply care about. We've seen the, you know, the reaction people have to the show where it's like, I love it. It means a lot to me. It's how I relax. It's such a, like, I've heard so many times people were like, I put it on to relax, get whisked away to a land where nothing can hurt me, go to a wonderful land of fantasy. Then I come back and I usually feel better than when I started. And I'm like, that's fucking really important to both of us, that we're like same when we're making it. That's why we do it too.
And that's one of the things that's really magical. And that's one of the things that I think is really nice about like saying no, is that like we built kind of a space where like Aaron and I are, and it's the nice thing about doing the show is two people who have been best friends and been like close friends for the better part of 2 decades, is like we can sit back and be like, I'm not feeling this. Like, I don't, this idea that you're throwing out, like, is not doing it for me. What else can we, like, what can we throw out instead? And, like, being comfortable enough with someone that we can throw out that idea and be like, this is not connecting with me. This is something that would be more exciting, and not feeling like that person is coming after your ideas, because we've dropped 200 of these damn things at this point. Like all the cool ideas that we were really precious about, we threw into an episode 100 episodes ago. Yeah. And now it's just what's going to make us laugh.
Yeah. And it's like, if you have something, there's a level of trust that has to be in this kind of work, I guess you call it.
Yep.
But like, the idea of like, my goal in my life as like any kind of performer is to create stories that kind of, this sounds really whack, but create that kind of sensation that I get when I play a really good JRPG or see a really good musical, that like, oh my God, like, you know, you get teleported somewhere and it gets into your veins. Like when you connect with a piece of media that you're like, this is my shit, and you can't stop consuming it. I am chasing creating that. Mm-hmm. And having just that hunger is really fun, but also having this, having someone to bounce that idea off of means that I'm not being, the term that I would use is masturbatory, where I'm just rattling off my own favorite tropes and ideas. Yeah. I'm bouncing them off of a soundboard, and I have like a writing partner who's basically like, that's great, but I want to take, here's what I like about that, and I'm going to mash it with my favorite things, and we're going to make this. And that's what I like about it, where I say like, it's fucking original, because it's two people's ideas going, it's chocolate and peanut butter commercial over and over and over again. And it's very much I always say like, this is my proudest creative accomplishment, is this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, it slaps. And if you give it a try, you will be hooked like fucking Cheetos. Yeah. You will just burn through that bag, and you'll be at episode 196 in no time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so so we want to do some world building in a few minutes here. So if folks have, what I want to do with you two is I want to do like some Pantheon world building, or even if we just do like a deity or something, I want to do something like that. So if folks have like a prompt, you can throw it in the chat, like any prompts that, well, I mean, I've heard you guys turn pretty insane prompts into like who knows what. So I mean, honestly, I feel like at this point, any start could, anything could start us out on that. So, but while folks are like processing that and throwing prompts in, there is some chat there. Let's see, trying to read it and failing. Hold on. But yeah, from Tonamel said, I do recommend using chopsticks to listen to the podcast so you don't get the orange dust all over your fingers. So really important.
It honestly makes it a lot better. You're not going to get it on the keyboard. Like it's really essential.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I eat my Cheetos with chopsticks exclusively now. I'm a big Cheeto person, and I use chopsticks, and I can say it is fucking lit.
Aaron, can I ask you a question? Like this is all everything else in the episode is in the.
I promise we're gonna fucking world build. I swear.
Do you? Is there a flavor of Cheetos that you think has topped the regular orange dust Cheeto, or is that still the platonic ideal of what the Cheeto is?
So, in my opinion, the Cheeto, like Cheetos brand cheese curls, I feel like are mediocre. Crunchy is king. Crunchy is really great. White cheddar Cheetos are fucking slamming. Crunchy white cheddar Cheetos are ridiculous. But then there's the regional Hers brand, which are in like usually the Northeast to like North Carolina. Oh yeah, those are so good because they have a honey flavor.
Oh, the honey ones are ridiculous. Very good.
Yeah. The discontinued buffalo blue cheese flavor.
Yeah, what the hell's with that?
It's gone. I went to the factory in Western Pennsylvania to get it once, and I got it, and it was great. But they discontinued
you
flavor.
Can still get it at the factory?
This was in 2013. But they also have a jalapeno pop. So I would say white cheddar Cheetos still.
Now, hold on, though. I got to stop you.
Reppin'.
There are white cheddar Cheetos?
Yes, there are.
What?
They are salamin.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that out there.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
Oh, man, that blew my mind. What were we talking about?
World building.
Like I said, this is the thing now.
Yeah, no. I am curious. So you guys you said you've known each other for the better part of like 2 decades. Where does this relationship begin? Like how tell us the meet cute. That's what I want to know.
Okay. Do you remember specifically? Because I know it was like
almost to the day.
Go please.
It was 10th grade geometry class. It was 10th grade geometry class, and we were
You're right.
sophomores. We sat next to each other in
Yes.
geometry class and literally just started shit talking. Like there is no like it is this bizarre bizarre thing where like we did not know each other.
No.
And literally like one of us threw out like a really bad joke and then the other just was like, all right, this is happening now. And legitimately we just did not stop doing that. And here we are 20 years later.
I was gonna say,
Yep.
so you just started doing All My Fantasy Children, but in class, like it was
Kind of.
Yes,
It was just
completely.
literally like we just started like you just started making silly jokes and like it just clicked into place. Like it was,
This dynamic has been happening for a long. Like we used to drive around for funsies and go to like Arby's and shit.
Yeah.
we go to the mall and then wander
Go to the
around
mall, wander around as you know, cool teens do.
We were from New Jersey. This was the pastime.
Yes, this was the pastime.
That's
This
what
is
you do
this
when
is
you grow
what
up in New Jersey. You go to the mall. That's what you do.
1000% correct. And so this dynamic of like spitballing ideas and making them bigger, and it's essentially like we used to have a game. It's a game that we didn't know we were playing with our friend group, where it was like you just try to make everybody laugh the hardest. So if somebody makes a joke, we would call it the repeaters, because like you just repeat that joke and then you add a little bit something to it. And then it just keeps going, and eventually you're talking about something completely different. So it is basically All My Fantasy Children.
I remember there would be days where they would be like me, Aaron, and two of our close friends, and we would just be like sitting in like an ice cream shop, like with like sitting outside of like a Rita's water ice.
Yep.
And we would just be there for 2 hours, and there would be one joke. It would be like somebody would make like a funny joke, and we would just be like, okay, here's my take on it, and we would just keep. You would just watch like us build for 2 hours.
I have to tell a story, if I might, I may, to give people the extent of the foolishness. And we're all sitting around our friend Sean's house, who he's the guy who submitted Samuel Gordon, a king. And we're playing apples to apples. And eventually, one of our friends, Tim, is reading the Red Dead Redemption guidebook. And we were like, Tim, what are you doing? Like, what the hell? And Tim was like, I don't know, I want to read about horses. Because and then it became,
who doesn't?
I want to read about horses. And then it became bigger until it became, I want to read about horses. And it became a song, and now it is still sung to this day of, I want to read about horses. So like that's the level of stupidity that has led to All My Fantasy Children.
And
so
sometimes
kids,
and like
you can do it too.
It is one of those things where those routines and those bits and those very specific in jokes will just infiltrate our lives, where Aaron and I will be like prepping for a recording and just somebody be like, I want to read about horses.
Yeah. Oh man, I need to read about horses so bad.
Horses.
I want to read about horses. Or like, what are you doing? I'm sorry. I wasn't listening, Jeff. I was reading about horses.
It's just they're the jokes, like they just exist in like the language that we build with our so like this rhythm is just is part of how we exist in the same space.
Yeah, like if you ever hang with us at like a con or something, like this is all it is. It starts as like a joke, and then it just grows, and like
3 days later, Aaron and I will say something completely incomprehensible, and you'll have to like work it backwards and be like, oh yeah, because you saw an orange juice stand.
Yeah, and like Orange Julius. Oh shit, I forgot about Orange Julius. And that's essentially the show if you add a little more structure to it. Where if you say like, okay, so I want to read about horses, blah, blah, blah. Ha, 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 that's the prompt. I want to read about horses. And we're like, okay, so are horses important to this culture? Why? Is it transportation? Is there a horse god? Is there something? And it's pretty much just combining our two passions of being really big fucking nerds and liking to kind of make each other laugh, or like having really cool ideas. And, both of us like making world details and nerd shit. So it's kind of mashing those two things together. And it's become this gigantic 200 episode thing where like the world has lore and history and cultures. And I'm like, this is my dream. Like it is, like I said, the most proudest accomplishment I've ever had is the world of All My Fantasy Children, as it stands right now, to me is so fucking sick, and we just don't do an actual play.
Yeah, that's well. So I do want to ask you, has anyone ever played in fantasy?
I don't know. We haven't. We did one game once, but like, no, I don't know. I honestly don't know. If you're listening to this,
ever like taken this and I don't know if anyone has ever taken the world that we built and like played games in it.
Oh, I know. What is it? Young Heroes of Halcyon. Remember that?
Oh yeah. They had a lot of like AMFC references in the Young City.
There was like a Discord game. Young Heroes of Halcyon was like a Discord game of masks, and there was a lot of cool like polls from the show that got plunked into this game. So that's, I think, the only one to date.
I think the only one, yeah. Because
if you want to play in the world of fantasy, I will fucking sue you.
Yeah,
because you did not get permission. I know we started out that with episode 0, but fuck all that. No.
Yeah, we're coming. We're coming. We know what you've done, and we're coming after you.
So I feel like the only prompt we've gotten is this one, and because I assume that's what this must be. Someone's saying they haven't played a fantasy but are planning on incorporating some characters into their Edge of the Empire game. So
can we know which characters?
Yeah, you gotta tell us which characters.
There you go. Someone's naming a Star Wars character Chad Butternut.
Yes.
So, but we've got a prompt, I think, and it is a bicycle with a heart of aluminum. Now, this is an interesting jumping off point for a pantheon/deity, so I am curious as to.
Okay,
I feel like
a bicycle with a heart.
All right.
That is
with a heart of aluminum.
That is the prompt. Yeah.
So here's where I want to take this. I believe this bicycle is in fact possessed by Satan.
Okay. Oh God!
And there's a multi-planetary. There's a battle for the sake of multiple planets. I do not remember any of the rest of the lore of the band with the Satan bike.
Are you talking about Coheed and Cambria song 10 Speed?
Yes.
Is that what you're fucking referencing? I love that band. That's like my favorite band. That's why I was like, is Jeff referencing fucking Coheed?
I was in fact referencing
Holy
Coheed.
Shit. Okay. So it's what is it again? I don't see it in the chat.
It's a bicycle with a heart of aluminum.
A bicycle with the heart of aluminum.
With a heart of aluminum. And I just want to point out that Damoon Rules said, "Hi, my name's Trek Huffy, the bicycle with a heart of aluminum." So Trek Huffy's pretty good.
Trek Huffy is a really great name. So Trek Huffy. So I like the term "the heart of aluminum."
Yeah.
It makes me think of like the heart of worlds,
exactly,
or something like that. Like the heart of aluminum is a shield, is something protective. Maybe it's a suit of mail or something like a chest plate. You know, is that the heart of aluminum? You know what I mean? Is it a magical object?
I think it's got to be a magical object.
Because I think of like I possess the heart of aluminum. Because I think of the Simpsons reference when Ned Flanders gets shot and he has the piece of the original cross to block it. So I feel like this is very like this is the heart of aluminum.
The thing I think of really specifically is the Allspark from Transformers, the
Fuck
animated movie when Optimus Prime dies and like hands off the Allspark to Hot Rod. Like I think of that energy of like, I am giving you the heart of aluminum. And it's like I picture like quite literally a physical heart made of aluminum.
Okay. So that like an organ. Like someone's given. Okay. If it's an organ, that means somebody needs it. That means you need the heart of aluminum, right? Or
that the organ. What if it's that you don't need like along the same lines? If you don't need it, but it gives you like something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that, because I think that the idea that like a heart gives you life, so maybe this thing gives you this life and this divine power, and that it has landed on this bicycle has like imbued this with sort of a divine energy.
Okay, so first I have to say, Sham, put the cube in my chest. Second, I thought that was pretty good.
That was very good, honestly.
Thank you. So I think, is the bicycle the deity here?
Yeah, that's
is
a
the
good question.
bicycle. Is the bicycle this cosmic entity, this two-wheeled? Is it something like, because it makes me think of the bicycle. I think of the greater arcana of the tarot. I think of constellations.
I think of constellations. I think of
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not just because constellations are a thing in AMFC, but like,
Yes.
It's not just-
but also I'm
like
plugging
a
my own
bicycle.
shit.
A bicycle is like a thing that you could create in a constellation very easily.
Yes.
And so I visualize that, and it having the heart of aluminum, I almost envision like it being imbued in this bicycle somehow, so that maybe like the bicycle is also quite literally a vehicle. And I mean that both in the literal and metaphorical sense. Like, if the bicycle is whoever is on that bicycle is sort of the conduit for the heart of aluminum and like the recipient of its energy.
Okay,
it's this thing that like anybody that like it hands off this magical power to whomever is on this bicycle and is existing in this, like, whoever needs this object can receive the powers of the heart of aluminum.
It's very if Iron Man and Shazam had a baby to me, where it's like the power is given to you by an object. So as long as you're riding this bicycle, this chariot ass, I'm imagining some like really dope bicycle where
A
it's
penny
got
farthing, sure.
It's I'm Googling imaging that, and I think my screen is on the, what's it called? What is it called?
A penny farthing. You'll know it when you see it, Aaron.
Penny Farthing? That sounds like a band name.
You'll know
that I
it
hear
when
at
you
like
see
a
it.
coffee shop.
Trek Huffy, International Bicycle of Mystery.
For
to the
fuck's
Secretary,
sake,
Penny
Jeff! Penny, the big wheel. Okay, so it's a penny farthing.
It's not a penny farthing.
Okay,
I
so
really like that we all got to watch Aaron learn what a penny farthing is. I was not going to interrupt that. I wanted to just see that.
I was letting that happen.
Yeah.
There are times on the show you can hear me do that, and you can hear Aaron do that, where one of us will land on a thing. I think a really good example is the Banana Man or just the mascot episodes.
Oh, the mascot episode, 1000%.
One of us will just say like, "Hey, can you Google the word mascot? Can you Google banana mascot and look at the third result?" And then you'll just hear.
I love that. Also, when we learned what a Flemish rabbit is in when we remake Barbarian, we both learned live what a Flemish rabbit looks like. We're both like, "Holy shit! This is the biggest rabbit I've ever seen.
It's a big boy."
But okay, so I'm imagining that the bicycle is this conduit that's very much like the Phoenix Force. If I may pull a reference from that. Like when you are on the bicycle, it's like bound to you and it gives you you become one with it. It's like you get the heart of aluminum, and it's very much the Phoenix Force, where you then can ride the bicycle and you become like maybe you are okay. This is a big fucking pitch.
I would expect nothing less.
Is this the myth of like the being that like, like sort of the man in the moon, like you become like some kind of okay, this is my big pitch. This is kind of like what my thought is. The person who has the heart of aluminum rides the bicycle and rides across the day, like just rides across the sky, and you are pulling the sheet of stars across the day, the blue sky.
Oh,
and like it is the very being that brings the night.
I want to build off of that. I want to build off of that. That also I have an idea that I think rules and that like ties really nicely into that. I think like that is the I think that is like the mythical, the legendary, the mythological like extent of what the person with the bicycle does, what the person wearing the heart of aluminum wears. And I want to like tie into that and take this idea of the bicycle is itself the thing that I want to pull on. The reference that pops into my head is Jack stories. You know Jack stories?
Jack
stories. Or like Jack tales or like Jack myths, like the idea of like Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack being able to Jack be quick, like all of the stories about the character named Jack, like they're all of them. So what I picture is this idea of like this is a person that did something impossible, and the constant is that they are riding it's a picaresque story, right? Like it's the story about the scoundrel that comes in, does an impossible thing and leaves, and they're always depicted in these sort of mythical stories, riding in on a bicycle, solving a problem, and then riding off. And so like it is perceived as the idea of they pull the night sky because they bring with it the stars. Like, they bring with it the stars, which are the sum total of all of the things that they have done in the world. They bring that on the back of their bicycle. Like, they are carried with it all of the good deeds they have done, or each one of these stars that they bring across the sky each night. And it is just this like recurring lore figure across all of these different things of this person that rode in on a bike and did a good deed and helped people when they would not benefit. And it becomes this sort of altruism story.
And I think like maybe it's a phrase like of someone who, you know, that person in like a neighborhood who's like always down to fucking help you out, fix your broken fridge, you know, basically like a really nice super maybe is like, well, man, that motherfucker's got a heart of aluminum.
Yeah,
you know,
I like
that it gives you this like colloquial phrase of like someone who brings kind of like carries joy and good deeds and inspires people wherever they go to be better. It's like, yeah, you know, Jeff, guy's got a fucking heart of aluminum. And it's a reference.
He will go to your improv show.
He will help you move. He will help you move in the summer and like on a fifth floor walk up, you know,
carry that couch by himself.
And I like this idea of, but the origin of it is it real? Is there actually there's actually a heart of aluminum that someone has or wears? It's like a magic, you know, is this like a person who is actually wearing the heart of aluminum? This like, you know, I'm thinking of it sleeveless, like a sleeveless breastplate.
Oh man.
I was picturing a heart on a chain. I'm not going to lie.
I've been thinking of the breastplate because Aaron originally described it as like kind of like armor-esque. So like
I don't know why I was just.
Although now that we got the chain with the giant.
Okay, I have a pitch where it's very Iron Man-esque. We can combine these things where it's a heart on a chain, but if you touch it, it becomes a breastplate.
That's cool.
That's cool. I don't know if this person is real. Or this has an origin, a real origin in we said it was a person who originally did something amazing and epic and like beyond almost impossible, right?
What is it? What is the thing, do you think? Do you have any ideas, Ben?
Oh, I don't.
Okay.
What is the thing? Sorry, what is the thing for what? I got distracted.
Jack on the bike. Like what did this
what was
Jack
the origin of that myth?
So what I want to propose, the thing that pops into my head is like, what if it's not one person but many people? Like what if this is a story that, what if the idea is that we all kind of, what I'm thinking of here very specifically is like there's a very specific pop culture phenomenon that you occasionally, that like the name that I'm going to associate it with, you also see this under a bunch of other people's names, which kind of also ties in the story. I'm thinking about Bill Murray stories.
Okay.
Have you ever heard the story about Bill Murray? Bill Murray shows up at somebody's party, hands them $200 and says, no one will ever believe you that I did this, and walks off.
No.
Like there's a trend in like people telling celebrity stories, right? Bill Murray is this very specific recurring figure, and the story always kind of involves some variation of like, yeah, Bill Murray came to my party and we did karaoke together and he sang the saddest rendition of Total Eclipse of the Heart that I ever heard, and then he left without saying a word. Like they're always this idea, and the truth of it is that like it's just, you know, a weird thing happened and it kind of, we think it might have been Bill Murray, but like it's this perfect idea of like, it's not one person who did one thing, it's a million people who did a million things, and they all just kind of, these stories that people are sharing of like, yeah, you know, my car broke down, somebody rode by on their bike and they helped me change their tire. And it was just like a nice thing that somebody did. And we never really got their name. We never really and then somebody else just jumps in and is like, oh, you know what? Like I actually, I tripped on the way home. I was carrying 2 bags of groceries. A really nice kid drove by on their bike, picked up all of my groceries, helped me carry them inside, like put them away for me because my knee was hurt. And it's just this idea of like, these are all of these individual stories, right? That like take on this sort of cultural, mythological, lore-ish power by being these like recurring things that just happen.
Yeah,
I have a thought.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's kind of like Asgard, right? Like Asgard it's not a place, it's a people. And in this case, it's like the bicycle with the heart of aluminum it's not one god. It's all of these people and did all these things and became this big myth.
So what makes me happy is perhaps if we take a twist on all of this, and is there a heart of aluminum and someone who wears it? We said yes.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna go yes.
like
I'm
there
going
has
to
yes.
be.
So every day, all good deeds, if you do something good for someone or an act of kindness, a gesture that betters, everyone around you, something good. Every time you do that, tonight, blink, there's going to be a star just for that. So when you look out at the night sky and it's starless, that means that people that day weren't doing a lot for each other. That means that, the heart of aluminum, there wasn't a lot for the person, the wearer, to carry into the sky. When they drag it across the sky and it's a night full of stars. Well, it's because everybody was doing the collective good. Everyone was wearing the heart of aluminum that day. Everyone had an aluminum heart. But on nights maybe when it's like empty, it's just like, today wasn't the world's day. You know what I mean? Are they basically carrying like those shitty charts where you get like a happy sun or a sad rain cloud? Is it that? Is it like a rating system for not a rating system, but like if every good deed sends a star into the sky, onto this tapestry, and everyone is collectively contributing to it, and there is a person who actually wears the heart of aluminum, is it kind of that or no?
I love that. No, I think that rules. And I think should a person have to put on this breastplate, that is the power that they draw from. Tonamel in the chat says Goku Spirit Bomb, but for skilling the night sky.
1 trillion %.
That idea of should a person have to wear this and accomplish an impossible thing? That is all of the power that they carry with them.
Yeah.
And that rules.
Well, I was going to ask you, who wears the heart of aluminum? Who gets to wear the heart? Is there an order of a sacred heart, and then the head of that order bears the heart of aluminum? Who is worthy to carry the heart?
See, for me, I have an answer to this, but I want to hear if either of you have strong thoughts.
I definitely like the idea of having an order of the Sacred Heart, especially because the Sacred Heart means something very specific in Roman Catholicism. So I really like taking that for this bicycle. But
then I don't mind that. I don't mind it being an order in something that's chosen or something, but also cosmic beings are fun. I also like it.
Fun.
I like it kind of being my pitch. I'm not married to it. Is very Phoenix Force-esque, where it's just kind of one thing meets with something else. Like Jean Grey, she wasn't chosen, right? Didn't she just collide with it?
She was just in space, and the thing dumped into her.
And
I almost kind of love the idea, along the same lines of I like the idea that maybe the person that wears the heart of aluminum is the heart of aluminum.
Oh. Yeah.
It's a person.
To Aaron's point, it is almost less of a person and more of a cosmic force in the way that the Phoenix Force is just a presence, but it is a presence that can take a physical form and don this, is a being in this beautiful breastplate that comes down and if the world has to be saved, appears in the night and maybe does this exactly can do this exactly once.
Exactly. The person is the heart of aluminum. The being is the heart of aluminum. And people want to, it's almost like doing a good deed gives the heart of aluminum tribute. It gives it something to carry, because if you give your good deed, you get a star. What a lovely thing. You get a literal star for the day. But also it's a cosmic force that carries the good deeds.
If we need the heart of aluminum, it will appear and use all of the power, but it only has as much power as the good that we have done.
Oh, that's fucking. It's like if the Phoenix Force came it arrives an empty vessel, the heart of aluminum. It's weak, it's powerless, and it is very much Spirit Bomb-esque, as I believe Tonamel said. Tonamel said is empowered by our good deeds, and our actions fill up that literal night sky, which perhaps allows the heart of aluminum to then, it gives it the energy to travel to a new world and give it and bring more joy and inspiration to another world.
I love it. And then the two things that I want to shout out from the chat. Blaine C. Martin, our good friend Blaine Martin, calls out that there is a documentary about Bill Murray stories called The Bill Murray Stories: Life Lessons Learned from a Mythical Man. And also, Tonamel has posted kind of one of the iconic Bill Murray stories, which is Bill Murray walked up to me at a McDonald's, ate my French fries, looked me in the eye, said, "No one will believe you," and walked off. Like that is the idea of like, it is the peak of like, yeah, no one actually will believe me that this happened. And like, it's all of these stories that maybe are fake, maybe are just like a weird thing that happened that you changed it to Bill Murray. But it's this idea of like, it's just kind of a confluence of weird things. And I love that kind of infuses this idea of a deity that can arrive, but is only powered by our collective sense of altruism.
I do really like the fact that this is all like, I like the collective altruism. I like the fact that there is this very real motivation for people to do good in the world, and they like feel the very direct like result of that. I mean, it's a little bit, I don't know if it's a little bit too much, maybe like this, you get a little star sticker on your daily sheet, like it's a little elementary school, maybe I don't know because I don't live in a world where the night sky either lights up or doesn't if we did good today. But like I feel like that would be very powerful, right? Like if like tonight the night sky was dark because we were all like a bunch of shitbags, we'd probably be motivated to do good in the world so that the night would be beautiful.
And like sometimes those like really simple ideas are the really powerful ones, right? Like it's a literal representation of like, we all have an obligation to do good and do right by each other. And like, imagine like the fantasy of like, imagine if there was a way to really confidently be able to look out and see that fundamental truth of the world, that people are out here looking out for each other. Like it's a very simple, it's a very innocent idea, but it's also kind of airy, like perfect and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, it has this really cool element that I like, where it's you are helping someone you'll never know, because if your good deeds are what send the Heart of Aluminum to another world to do the exact same thing, your actions are actually helping people fucking you'll never ever know,
right?
You know, and somewhere else, but you don't give a fuck, but you want to do it because the Heart of Aluminum is awesome. Heart of Aluminum gave you good feels, and you're like, you know what? I want to see some stars, and also I'm going to give you that rocket energy to push you back in the sky. And it gives the bicycle some grease. You know, it's like it pushes the bicycle along through the night sky, and you see it maybe when it leaves. Like if there's enough stars, that's maybe like the roadmap that the bike takes. That's like the literal, you see it connect the dots of the stars that you've created, and every time it visits your world, it creates a new constellation. I don't fucking know.
It's cool as hell.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the dots are like, it follows them, and that's how it finds a new planet. Are the stars that you set up to create the road.
The visual that I get is kind of like the way that you kind of see the Milky Way a little bit.
Yeah.
That idea that like maybe the paths on the Milky Way are like the journey that the bicycle has taken.
Yes.
That you watch that thing.
So the Tona Mill asked if the bicycle with the Heart of Aluminum is the prompt. How did a bicycle become responsible for / guardian of the avatar? So I guess the question is really about the connection between the bicycle and the heart.
I feel like it's kind of Silver Surfer's surfboard esque, where it's like kind of the vehicle. They are one and the same. You can't. It's a cosmic force, and the physical. I feel like I always like the and how it appears to you is a being of light on a bicycle. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
You know what I mean?
I love the idea, and what I love that's related to that and also ties into the Silver Surfer is like that sometimes these things are incongruous, right? Like the idea that like it is I think that question, right? Like why is it a bicycle is part of the magic of it, right? Like if this, like without it, who's to say that these ideas were connected at all? It's that idea of like, they're all connected, but they're all connected through this one detail that's weird and confusing and makes you ask, like, why a bicycle? Why is a bicycle the thing? But like, you're kind of supposed to be asking that question, and that's what kind of makes it a unifying thing, right? It's that sense of like tying back in. I don't know why Bill Murray stories are the thing that I keep coming back to, but like that idea of like why Bill Murray? Why would Bill Murray do this? Or like
why would Bill Murray do this?
Why would you do this? Look, today we're having a very serious discussion. I think this is I thank you all for joining me. This is we're gonna finally get into some questions.
Welcome to all my
some-
fantasy children.
We're gonna have some hard discussions, and that
can we
question is why would Bill Murray do this?
We have to do podcast voice where it's this.
Oh yeah.
So today we're going to talk about why would Bill Murray do this?
I'm really
So-
thank you for joining. Thank you for having me on the show. This is I'm excited to talk about this.
Very excited to make characters and talk about the bicycle.
Meanwhile, let's throw it over to the weather. This is
Casper
sponsored by
mattress.
listeners like you. This is member supported radio.
And I want to talk about Bill Murray mattress. Bill Murray mattress is the most comfortable, back-breaking mattress the world has ever seen.
You know, Bill. We talked a lot about Bill Murray stealing food off of people's plates and saying that they'll never believe them. But you know what would make that a lot simpler is if Bill Murray had delicious homemade recipes shipped to his house every single month with just the ingredients that he needs to make delicious homemade meals.
Yeah. And wouldn't that just be great? So I want to talk about Blue Apron. All right, sorry. Just trying to get you that. Just trying to get you that motherfucking money.
Yeah, I have this
Yeah, get
theory
paid.
that if you just talk about things like Blue Apron on your show, eventually they'll just start actually sponsoring you. That's my theory. Hasn't worked out yet, but yeah, like for example, I in the cocktail I made for the AMFC, I used New Liberty Distilleries, which is a Philadelphia. Jeff, have you ever had anything from New Liberty Distillery? Do you know? They're a Philly distillery.
I don't know.
Highly recommend. And I always like plug their spirits on the show in my drinks. Of course, they don't sponsor me, and they don't give me anything.
I
for
go in
free.
the opposite route. I will describe a thing extremely obliquely and specifically until they give me money, and then I will say their brand name. I go, this dark syrup cola is delicious. This dark syrup cola in a red can is delicious. Whatever it is, whoever makes this product, you know where to get at me.
By the way, I this is way off topic now from world building, but do you two have a favorite cocktail? Is there a absolutely my favorite cocktail for each of you? I meant to ask you that when you first came on the show like an hour ago, and I forgot, so I figured I might as well ask it now. Absolutely my favorite cocktail. I know it's really hard.
You have to do some deep thinking.
It's a real tough question.
It
No,
is.
I
Like
don't.
classic
I don't
cocktails
have
or
to
like
do
the
deep
best
thinking.
cocktail I've ever had?
I mean, honestly, I feel like you can answer the question however you like. I feel like it's
Okay.
like,
Because I really like fancy cocktails a lot. Like whenever I go to a restaurant, I'm like cocktail menu, fwap, and I open that thing. And if they don't have like a nice cocktail menu where they're making their own shit, making decisions, I'm out because fuck that. They're expensive.
Yeah, Damoon Rules pointed out something pretty obvious, I think, which is that eggnog better be involved in Jeff's answer.
Did you think my answer was gonna be something else?
Yeah, it's a
Did
great...
you think that wasn't gonna
That's a good
that
question.
eggnog wasn't gonna be my favorite cocktail?
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm not sure why I asked. Honestly, I feel like
I was
insulting.
looking around to see if I had my eggnog sweater on hand, or else I would have grabbed it. But I think it is either in the closet behind me, which would require getting up and revealing the fact that I'm wearing sweatpants, or it is on the other side of the room.
I'm kind of disappointed in myself now, honestly, that the drink I made inspired for this episode was not eggnog related.
It's got to be both of us. That's for the
right.
Jeff Stormer solo
true.
episode.
That's right.
This has got to be some kind of pumpkin spice business. Some pumpkin.
I've had pumpkin spice eggnog, and it was magical.
There you go. That's the
I had,
crossover we've been waiting for.
I had it's by Pennsylvania Dutch, which are the people that make Penn Dutch eggnog, which is the best eggnog you can buy in stores.
It is.
They make a pumpkin spice. They make like a pumpkin spice cream liqueur that was absolutely magical. And like in retrospect, it made perfect sense because it was the idea. Because the idea is like, you think about and I talked about this on Talking Nog, but like if you think about like eggnog spices, they're pumpkin spice. Like it's cinnamon, it's cinnamon, it's nutmeg, it is clove. They're all the same ingredients you would put into pumpkin spice is in eggnog, so it makes perfect sense if you are already making cocktails in that flavor to kind of extend your reach out a little bit from like you make your eggnog in December and then in September you're like, here's pumpkin spice. Here's the same ingredients just in a slightly different format, and it made perfect sense.
This is great because this is the most we've talked about cocktails on the Holy Happy Hour show. It's called Holy Happy Hour. I drop a cocktail at the beginning and then we move on, basically never return. And we've got some chat about cocktails going on. This makes me very happy. I'm very glad. It also makes me think, Jeff, what you just said, that like now I really want to have you come on the show again in December so that we can like talk about eggnog and variations on it. And I think that would be super fun. But this cocktail in the chat of gin, 100% cranberry juice, grapefruit soda, squeeze of lime. That sounds very good to me. The cocktail I made for this show today, it disappeared. I moved it over.
Cool.
Woo. Anyway, sorry. The cocktail I made, I definitely made my own orgeat syrup for that.
Ooh.
For that cocktail. So that
what is a cocktail that I had recently that sounds awful. And then I thought but then was in fact, so I have two cocktails I want to talk about that both sound bad, but were in fact wonderful and delicious. Our friends of yours at Red Lobster.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Announced a cocktail that like I had kombucha girl face at when I saw it was announced. Because they announced they were like, and now for a limited time, we're doing the Mountain Dew Rita. And I made the kombucha face. I was like, ugh. And then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Mountain Dew is like citrus flavored soda.
Yep.
You could probably just throw some tequila in that and some seltzer, and like, it actually worked really, really well.
See, I never got to try it. I never tried it, but Blaine Martin and I definitely had several conversations about whether that would actually be good or not.
It actually worked. It worked way better than it had any right to. And like, cause I was like, I didn't do straight Mountain Dew and tequila. I did like half Mountain Dew, half seltzer.
Yeah.
And like, you get that kind of like, it's not quite lemon lime. Like there are like other kind of weird, indescribable flavors in there. And it gives the sweetness that you would get from the syrup. And like the tequila gives it that bite. And like, I hate myself for the fact that it worked. I'm not happy about that it worked, but it worked. And I was like, I would drink this again. I'm gonna say, be as old as to say I would drink this again.
My answer, by the way, is I like fancy old fashions.
Sure.
Like if that's my classic, that like, okay, either that or a Negroni, but one of those two, just bitter, or skronk. And just sip in beverages. They're cozy.
Yeah.
I like a lot though. It depends on what you're eating, because I like them with dinner. If you want something acidic or tart,
I go.
It depends on what we're pairing it with.
I basically go two directions. I basically go like you were just describing, like an old fashioned, like a very bitter kind of like something kind of harsh, smoky maybe, or I go like the drink I made for this, which is like very much like a Mai Tai or like
I love a tropical cocktail.
Exactly.
Which actually the cocktail I want to throw out. Hold on. Actually, talk amongst yourselves for 30 seconds while I pull up another cocktail that sounds like it should be terrible, but
please. No, so those are basically the two directions I go. And it really just depends. Like I spend the entire like spring to like end of summer season like making like and which is part of the inspiration of the show, but like making tiki style cocktails and like tropical cocktails, and then I like literally shelve it, and I'm like, no, now it's done. It's fall. The time for that is over. That has died. It is died.
No seasonals. No.
It's died, and I am putting it to rest, and it's done. We're never making one again until, of course, it's rebirthed in the springtime, and then it's born again. Yes, I do this with my cocktails.
I love me a cocktail like any time of the year. Like I don't like to slap a seasonal kind of label on it because it's just a delightful thing. I hate that. Like I'm the one of the people who it's like it's 20 fucking degrees out and I'm like, ooh, ice cream. Like, I could have.
Ice cream is high school is perennial.
I drink
eggnog
in
like
the
in
summer.
cocktail land. Yeah, I would crush eggnog in the summer. I would drink a pumpkin beer in the summertime.
No.
I would. I feel like I'm. What's it called? You know that sickos meme? That is me.
Yeah.
That's me. Yeah. And everyone's like, Aaron's top. That's for wintertime. I'm like, fuck you. A porter is good all year round.
Well,
all right.
Okay, a porter is good all year round. I can
all right.
That.
Can I share a cocktail with you that sounds gross? That sounds gross, but is lovely.
Yes.
2 shots of Malibu, a splash of lime juice, 2.5 shots of blue Gatorade, and seltzer to match, and seltzer to the top of the glass.
Sounds bad.
It actually, I mean, you'd think, and yet it is. Can
you say it one more time? Can you say it one more time?
2 shots of Malibu.
Okay.
2 shots of Malibu coconut rum.
Right.
2.5 shots of blue Gatorade specifically.
Yes.
A splash of lime juice.
Yeah.
And then ice and seltzer into a pint glass.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're using a lot of seltzer to kind of water it down. Like you're not like, this is not a cocktail you drink straight. You drink it like with a whole host of seltzer, but like it's got a little bit of berry flavor, a little bit of lime. It's got a little coconut. It is very tropical. It is very refreshing. It's nice and seltzery and watery. Blaine has asked which blue. I get Gatorade blue, like Gatorade Zero blue.
The dark one or the light one though? Because
the light one. Hold on. Let me confirm. I'm almost certain it's the light. The neon, the oppressively neon blue.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Let me actually, you know what? I know exactly the best way to find this. Give me one.
Sure. I recently converted to like the zero, the dark blue though, because my wife was like, "You like this one more, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And so now that's the one she like.
Cool blue. Cool blue
that's
is the variety.
That's the light one. Yeah.
Yeah, the light one. The cool blue is the one that I go with, but you fill it, and it's like primarily seltzer. It is light. It is refreshing. It is tropical, and it should not, under any circumstances, work as well as it does.
So it does sound. I can see that being good. Like it does sound. It sounds good. I have to say, I got to call myself out because I can't really offer criticism of anything that was just discussed with Blaine in the chat because I feel like it's not right for me to pretend I'm something I'm not because Blaine has witnessed me drink protein shakes with vodka and like at the end of a day in which I've
you gotta live. You gotta live, my friend.
I think that's the combo. Blaine can correct me in the chat if I'm misremembering, but yeah. So I feel like I can't offer criticism for drinking eggnog in the summer. I get no room.
See, when it's right, it's right. It fucking tastes good.
You gotta chase your bliss.
You gotta chase that happiness.
I knew there was
gonna be eggnog in the summer.
Yeah,
I knew there was detail I was forgetting, and it's that it was specifically muscle milk, specifically muscle milk and vodka.
Y'all.
That's for getting gains.
We're going to a place where you're going down a path that I can't follow now.
That's very specifically.
That sounds bad.
What that is, Aaron. Let me tell you.
Oh, there's worse part of the story I just remembered. Oh my God, I'm calling myself out for some reason. I just remembered that I was also eating truffle popcorn at the same time.
Let me tell you this.
You were committing a fucking felony. You're going to fucking You're going to fucking jail. Hello, cocktail police.
No. Listen. All right. You're thinking you're talking all big, but listen. Wentz is gone now. We finally have a shot. We finally have a shot at the bowl for the first time since 2017. Yeah. You're going to want to get riot ready. Yeah. You want to hit that muscle milk. You want to hit that vodka. Right. You want to get ready to flip a car.
Yes.
This is the year. Go Eagles. EAGLES. Go Eagles. This is the year. This is the year that we all go out and we flip a car. This is it.
But the best part about that is that if we get car flipping ready, like if we get riot ready now, like it doesn't matter because if we're going to be so strong, we could do it either way. Or
that's what I mean.
Yes. Or we'll be so strong by the time it happens, we'll be like extra. We
just keep getting stronger and stronger, and then all the grease that they want to put on that pole there's no amount of grease you can put on a pole that's going to stop us from climbing that pole. Go Birds, go Phils.
I did not expect this episode to go this direction, and now I know that we've learned what happens if we talk about cocktails on the Holy Happy Hour. I feel like this is where we end up. Well, listen, I mean, go Birds, go Phils. You can't say it enough times. I'm glad you reiterated it. I don't want to end this energy, but I do have to take my family to dinner at some point. So I'm going to use this as a natural point to thank the two of you for coming on the show and say, like, I feel like we got to do this again sometime. Come back on sometime and do this again with me, please.
Absolutely.
I'd love to have you guys back on. I'm going to switch back to just me here for a second to say goodbye to everybody. So let me just do that real quick. Oh, do the two of you want to plug something real fast before?
Hell yeah.
Before I say goodbye to you?
Yeah. Right. That's the thing that we do.
Yeah, that's the thing that should be done. Yeah.
So if you haven't started listening to our podcast, it's All My Fantasy Children. You can find us on Twitter at AMFC_podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Aaron Catano-Saez, all one word. Jeff, where can the people find out about you?
Oh, sorry, I got distracted. My name is Jeff Stormer. I'm a podcaster, game designer, and the official LARP designer of the Olive Garden restaurant. You can find out about my work, including Party of One, which is an actual play podcast focused on 2-player role-playing experiences, All My Fantasy Children, which Aaron talked about and I don't need to go over again, as well as Talking Nog, which is a yearly tradition honoring a yearly tradition. It is the world's foremost, and as far as I can tell, only eggnog enthusiast podcast. You can find more information about all of those things, as well as the games that I design and all the other cool stuff that I do at jeffstormer.com.
Yeah, if you like this kind of creative energy, if you want to listen to a world get built originally, come listen to All My Fantasy Children. It's a lot of fun. I guarantee your life will be better after listening to it. I guarantee it.
I also just want to say that, Jeff, because you probably don't know this, but the last episode of Holy Happy Hour, and I'm being very serious right now, we talked I
do know this.
Oh, we talked about the LARP pretty extensively. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We talked about the Olive Garden LARP from a game design perspective when we were talking about Manishtana, and had a lot of serious conversation about that. And also I got to talk about how the pandemic interrupted my opportunity to, now that things are kind of getting back towards normal, I feel like it's finally my chance to play the although do they still do, the question that came up,
I can't imagine they do, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
They still do it on the commercials, which
Yeah.
I get more often than I like. And side note, it's time to talk about can we get serious for just a minute?
Yes.
Can we talk about an injustice? Today, on a very serious episode of Holy Happy Hour Batman, we are here to talk about a very serious injustice that has been performed, and that is the fact that the Olive Garden changed their slogan away from "When you're here, your family" in around 2015, and they changed it to "Family is." And in 2021,
What the fuck is that?
In 2021, they changed it back to "We're all family here."
Nope.
Which feels like a targeted attack against me specifically.
It is. They're trying to shake you off their trail, Jeff. They're like, fuck you, go riding our coattails. Pert! And just toot you away.
Oh, Blaine says they still do it dine-in only.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, there will be we'll have to make it happen sometime. Anyway, all right, Jeff, Aaron, thank you so much for coming on the show. It means the world to me to have you on, and this was a blast. So thank you.
Thank you for having us and enjoying our big sleepover energy.
Yes, exactly. All right, I'm switching back to just me. All right, it's just me, folks. I'm going to real quick just say my final words here. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks again to Jeff and Aaron for giving us the time, coming on the show. Definitely listen to All My Fantasy Children and Courier's Call and Party of One. All those shows are awesome. Please don't forget to hit the follow button right down there. Please hit follow, and hey, you can also subscribe now to my Twitch. Would be great, and I'd be ever grateful if you did something like that. If you caught only part of tonight's show, you'll be able to watch it all on demand for a brief time here on Twitch, but you can head over to somebody followed, thank you. Head over to allportsopen.com to watch every episode of the show afterward, or you can find That Gamer Priest on YouTube, and you can check out all the great shows on our network there when you're over at allportsopen.com. There's some new Twitch streams going on the Apon Games channel next week, which is, it's actually at The Worst Days here on Twitch. There's some great shows on at All Ports Open right here on Twitch, also starting next week on Monday. We also have great podcasts on our network, like Delinquent Comics, No Avatars Allowed, Pot of Love, and then all the great shows on our network that I'm not a part of. There's a whole ton of them. Allportsopen.com, so check those out. Huge thanks to Joshua Wise, my Apon co-founder, for the artwork on the stream here and for everything he does for our network. And huge thanks to my good friend Dr. Octorock for the use of his music on the show. He recently did a vinyl Kickstarter for a tribute album to the Flaming Lips, the Soft Bulletin, called Soft Bits In. It's a chiptunes tribute to the Flaming Lips. It's amazing. And the Kickstarter is over, but there are going to be extra vinyl presses. So if you like the music you're about to hear in a few minutes after we do a commercial real quick, you can find that, and I highly recommend that you do. So anyway, I'm That Gamer Priest. I'm Ben. We'll be back in 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks when amazing game designer Bo Sheldon comes on the show. I am very excited about it, so make sure you come back here 2 weeks from now at 5 p.m. for that. And I hope you enjoy the holiest and happiest of hours. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm losing it here at the end. We've gone too long. I'm losing it. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I will see you all real soon.
What is it, honey?
It's that darn ghost again. He just won't leave us alone. I guess we're just going to have to move.
No, wait. Don't worry. We're not moving. He is.
Who are you going to call?
Blockbusters. Actually, we know nothing about catching ghosts other than what we saw in that old cartoon. But if you want a podcast where we talk about film, TV, random tangents that leave you wondering what the hell was that all about, and the occasional nugget of wisdom, then we're the ones for you. And if you act now, you can listen to our entire back catalogue for free.
Did you say free?
Yes, I did. So go now to your nearest podcatching device, shake off the ectoplasm, and download us today. Warning, listening to Blockbusters can lead to stomach cramps from laughing, headaches from attempting to remember what tangent they went on this time, and a worn-out section of your device's screen/keyboard as you smash the replay button over and over until the next episode arrives. If your Blockbusters episode lasts longer than 4 hours, tell your doctor so he can listen as well.